on strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to StratNews Global. I'm Nitin Gokhale. First up, let me apologize for starting a couple of minutes late. As usual, some technical glitch always sort of plays spoilsport when one doesn't intend either. But that is where we are. But better late than never. Today, on our daily show, The Gist, we are going to discuss an important matter, the Siachen Glacier and its importance to India's geostrategic position. And we could not have found a better person than Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, who was a veteran soldier. But more than that, someone who started India's Operation Meghdoot, launched the Operation Meghdoot on 13th April 1984, which gave India the full control of the Saltoro Ridge and thereby the Siachen Glacier, which then became an important operation, which is still continuing. In fact, this can be described as one of India's longest, or perhaps the longest, uninterrupted operation that has been going on since 1984. Welcome to this program, General Kulkarni. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Nitin. It couldn't have been better meeting the author of Beyond NJ 9842, talking on Siachen.
No, well, that is another story. That book, Beyond NJ 9842, in fact, it's right here. I want to show some of our viewers who may not know. This is the book I wrote in 2014. Thanks largely to General Kulkarni, who set me off on a journey of discovery of how Siachen started, how the Siachen saga started, and is still continuing. So therefore, it's a meeting of old friends, two professionals in two different fields of activity. But he is a soldier. I'm just an observer. So, General Kulkarni, before we get into the discussion, why are we doing this discussion and why are we doing this program today is because Indian Army Chief General MM Naravane, during his customary annual press conference, was answering a question from a journalist on whether India would be able to demilitarize, or India is ready to demilitarize the Siachen Glacier. Why that question came, what was the sort of response, is something that has been debated, discussed. Some people have written about it. But let's first hear what the general said, and then we'll get into the discussion.
The situation in Siachen Glacier occurred once again because of unilateral attempts by Pakistan to change the status quo. The LC had been delineated to a point which is known as NJ 9842, and thereafter was understanding that it would remain unoccupied. But since they made an attempt to occupy it, we were also forced to take our countermeasures, and now both sides are face to face all along the Siachen Glacier. We are not averse to demilitarization of the Siachen Glacier, but a precondition of that is to accept the AGPL, that is the actual ground position line. The Pakistan has to accept what are their positions, accept what are our positions, and both of us have to sign on the dotted line before any kind of disengagement takes place. This is quite, the parallel with what is happening in Eastern Ladakh is quite similar. First, you have to disengage. Only then can you de-induct or de-escalate, which is another way of saying demilitarization. But the acceptance of the AGPL is the first step of this process, and that is something I think the Pakistani side is loath to do. As you all
So, quite a few aspects to that statement. We will unpack each of them one by one. But if my production team can get us the map, which is in the book also, so that viewers understand what exactly is the position. So let me just explain this, or better still, General Kulkarni will explain it in detail. I'll just mention the AGPL being shown here is the actual Saltoro Ridge, a series of passes, passes interspersing the ridge, which runs north to south, as you can see, the red dotted line. And west of it is the Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And the east of that Saltoro Ridge is the Siachen Glacier, which is about 75 kilometers long. And the fact is, before I asked General Kulkarni to explain, the Pakistani deployments are nowhere near the Siachen Glacier. They are in fact west of the Saltoro Ridge, and they don't even see the Siachen Glacier. Is that correct assessment, General Kulkarni? You may want to explain a little more in detail.
Nitin, absolutely right. The Pakistanis are nowhere close to the Siachen Glacier. You are absolutely right. Because the entire Siachen Glacier is dominated by us. Number one, occupied by us. And you just referred to that NJ 9842, because the Karachi Agreement, which speaks of the NJ 9842, also says thence northwards. And that thence northwards goes along the Saltoro Ridge line, of course, and carrying on maybe till Karakoram, to the second highest peak in the world. So that's where the thence northwards is very important, because everything in beyond NJ 9842, then northwards is what the Karachi Agreement talks about of 1949. However, the similar agreement also refers to NJ 9842 and taking the then northwards. But what happened in between was the Hodson's line, which the Americans brought in, and primarily for their, maybe for flying, to ensure that the pilots are navigating it well. They drew the line and connected the NJ 9842 with Karakoram Pass, and that connecting the line with the Karakoram Pass gave the entire Siachen Glacier to Pakistan. Now, that is where the cartographic aggression started by Pakistan, and of course, much before that also, Pakistanis were sponsoring expeditions, thereby legitimizing the Siachen Glacier to them. So that is where the contention is. Whether there will be so many areas which will be remaining unoccupied. That does not mean they belong to somebody else. They definitely belong to us. It is, and it's very clear. And that Karachi Agreement has been signed by both the countries. The Simla Agreement has been signed by both the countries. So the Karachi Agreement, where it was deemed to be called the ceasefire line, became the line of control by the Simla Agreement. And now we have an AGPL, which the chief has rightly mentioned so, and that is the actual ground position line, which runs along the Saltoro Ridge line. But the contention now remains, since we are holding it, since it is held by us, and what did Pakistan do in 1963? Ceded the Shaksgam Valley, which is east of the Siachen Glacier, virtually running from Karakoram Pass and going up to Khunjara Pass. And the Khunjara Pass now gains a lot of importance because the Karakoram highway comes from the Khunjara Pass and goes right up to Gwada. And even all the activities that are there in POK, there's sizable Chinese presence in the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. So with Pakistani presence, Chinese presence, Pakistani presence, the kind of connectivity and collusivity that exists between China and Pakistan, and that is indeed dangerous because Siachen allows us to hold heights. And when you're holding heights, mountains, all the heights in mountains favor the defender. We are occupying heights. It's our territory. We aren't over there. So I think there's a subtle difference even between what's actually happening in Eastern Ladakh to what it is in on the top of Siachen. There is a subtle difference. Yeah.
There is a subtle difference. There is no de-escalation required here because there is no escalation in Siachen, first of all. Secondly, since 2003, November 2003, when the ceasefire agreement was signed or sort of agreed upon by India and Pakistan in Jammu and Kashmir, I think to my limited knowledge, I think it is held only in the Siachen Glacier. There is no firing from either side on the Siachen Glacier, although like we keep insisting and keep re-emphasizing that the Pakistanis are much below the Saltoro Ridge, on the west of the Saltoro Ridge. So to call it that the Pakistanis are on the Siachen Glacier itself is a misleading statement, which the Pakistani army has done to its people for so long, since 1984. And I think they would be very happy if this de-escalation, de-induction takes place. But I want to bring in the map again, if we can get that map back again, just to explain in little more detail of what General Kulkarni said. Now, the situation in eastern Ladakh is also very volatile, and as you can see, the Karakoram Pass and the area ceded to China by Pakistan is the Saksham Valley, as the general said. Now, what Siachen does, again, I will bring in the general here, is to prevent the handshake between the Chinese on the east of the Siachen Glacier and the Pakistanis on the west of the Saltoro Ridge or the Siachen Glacier at the top of the the mountains there, because Saksham Valley and the Karakoram Pass are accessible to China. So that itself means that India should not even be in a hurry to even propose any demilitarization, although there is a big lobby which talks about Siachen as a low-hanging fruit. General Kulkarni, again, please explain over this map, this line going from NJ 9842 to Karakoram Pass. This was only in the American maps. Is that right?
Absolutely, Nitin. Absolutely. You have very rightly, on the map, I can see Pakistan's claim line, that is NJ 9842, the line going straight to Karakoram Pass. Invariably in mountains, you can't have a straight line like this. That itself is mischievous. But I think Hudson's, where I read in National Geographic, probably, and it passed away after having drawn this line, and therefore not many people now can question him for what he did and why he did. But he probably did it, as I think what he used to call it as the ADIJ, is primarily for identification of the flying people. And it was for that. And he probably thought that if it is NJ 9842, and since that area is not occupied, nobody is going there, that is what he thought, and he drew a line. Now, that was mischievous. And that mischievous, or maybe with no intent or mischievous intent, I can't say that now, but Pakistani used it to the hilt to say that. And they sent lots of foreign expeditions, primarily expeditions from UK and Japan. There were quite a number of them, which would be coming from Belafondla and Siala on to the Siachen Glacier, and then climb those beautiful Apsara range peaks, the Peremshare 1, 2, 3, all those that are marked on your map. Those are lovely peaks, and this entire area is mountaineer's paradise. You just cannot imagine what a beautiful area that is. And I fully agree with you, Nitin, that definitely the demilitarization of this area, it is our prerogative. When we want to do it, what we want to do it, it is our area, and nobody should be told as to what we would be doing it, and neither should we be volunteering to say that we would be demilitarizing it. Definitely not. It's our area. Whenever as I look at it, Nitin, that the track record of Pakistan, let's take it from the Karachi Agreement, they have not adhered to it. Look at the Simla Agreement, they have not adhered to it. Look at the agreement that subsequently, only India has stuck and adhered to the Indus Water Treaty. Which agreement in the world, I think the way, irrespective of whatever it may be, we have stuck and we have ensured that whatever quantity of water must go to Pakistan goes, and much more than that. Never even a liter less. If that be so, and Pakistan not adhering to any, Pakistanis have not accepted that Kasab was theirs. Till the end, they have not accepted Kasab for the Mumbai attack.
Well, they never do. They never do. Their track record, as you said, is really pathetic. But let me come back, and nobody better than you to describe what happened and how we came to occupy the Saltoro Ridge. For the viewers who don't know, I'm sure most people by now know that General Kulkarni, as a young captain, was the first officer to lead a platoon of the 4 Kumaon Regiment in the Indian Army and get heli-dropped on the Bilafondla Pass, or Bilafondla, La is a pass, and occupy that place, preventing the Pakistanis, outracing them on 13th April 1984. Just describe to us the importance of those passes, General Kulkarni, and why it is important that India continues to hold, or should continue to hold, those passes.
See, what you said in the beginning, 76-kilometer long, beautiful glacier, which is about 3 to 8 kilometers wide at places, a lovely mountaineer's paradise, terminates from, at the Indira Coal, that entire area, and the entry to the Siachen Glacier, or most of the mountaineers would use Belafond because that's the La which is wide, easily accessible from the Pakistani side, and then come on to climbing peaks like what we described on the Karakoram, the Apsara ranges, the Dharamsher and Saltoro Kangri, and all those peaks that would be climbed. And therefore, the passes that were generally used by the mountaineers, either the Siala or the Belafondla. And subsequently, of course, when Siachen was occupied by, then we occupied Gyeongla also. So now we have Gyeongla, we have Belafondla and the Siala. The major passes entry into Siachen Glacier from the Saltoro Ridge Line. So therefore, the occupation of these passes is a must, because whoever occupies these passes will deny entry of any intruder coming into Siachen Glacier. And Pakistanis have never succeeded. Like you said, on the 13th of April 1984, when we, by heliborne operations, occupied Belafondla, and then subsequently, when the weather turned bad, because weather is one thing which can be just plain true, and it's impossible. Absolutely. Blizzardous weather. Blizzard means blizzardous weather. You can't see anything. Difficult to breathe, difficult to eat, difficult to walk, difficult to see, all that kind of thing. And if you read Musharraf's In Line of Fire, because he was the SSG brigade commander when, as part of Siachen. Of course, we were there. I was there in 84, and subsequently when he attacked here in Bana, got the Paramveer Chakra for the Belafondla. That is where the things are. From their side, they have now good road connectivity up to the base, that is from Skardu coming forward. So he himself has written that it wouldn't take him 1 day to occupy either of these passes. 1 day. For us, well, by helicopter, definitely few hours we can occupy. But how are we sure that we will be able to do so? On 13th of April, when we were to occupy Belafondla, we were to also occupy subsequently Siala also on the same day. But because of the bad weather, we could just about occupy Belafondla and could not occupy Siala, and we occupied that much later on the 17th of April. So there was a time lag. Knowing how Pakistanis are, knowing what they did in Kargil, disowning people that they don't belong to them, tomorrow they can well be signing on the dotted line saying that, yes, this is the Pakistani government signing on the dotted line, but the people who are doing are not Pakistanis. They are non-state actors. We don't know who they are. That's what Musharraf, as ex-chief of the army staff of theirs, then later the president, had clearly said, well, they're not my men. They would disown their soldiers' bodies. Imagine, so many of them died. And
absolutely. No, in fact, I think you explained it beautifully. The fact is that I think one question that is sort of dogged everybody is that why did the army chief say that the demilitarization is possible? Now, one possible explanation could be that he was answering a question posed to him during the annual press conference, and he was giving the well-known Indian position that AGPL must be recognized by Pakistan and they should sign, which he knows fully well, like people like you who have served there and who have long watched this. The Pakistanis will never agree to do, because then they have no face to show to their citizens that they were nowhere near the Siachen Glacier. So, of course, that precondition is always there. But even if they sign, and like you have rightly said, and I want you to sort of explain it further, even if they sign, I don't think India, for various reasons that you've already explained, can actually step back, because the weather is an enemy there, the weather is unpredictable. And more importantly, I want you to comment on this, that the Chinese and the Pakistani collusion there could be costly for India, and the positions that India is holding on the Saltoro actually acts as a deterrence. Is that right?
Absolutely, Nitin. Imagine, let's for a change believe in that we have vacated and there's nobody on Siachen. Neither the Pakistanis are there nor the Indians are there. But the Chinese are very much in Shaksgam Valley. And the Chinese are in Shaksgam Valley. The Kunjara Pass is being used, the complete construction that is going on there. You have drones, you have UAVs, you will have a free access of things going from one end to the other end without anybody knowing what's going on. It's the very presence of ours deters them from doing anything like this, number one. Number two, it's our area, no question. And number three, I would put it this way, the occupation of Siachen Glacier for almost 3 decades now has come as a blessing in disguise. whatever is happening today in Eastern Ladakh, the very fact that we are so proud that our troops are acclimatized, our troops can take on anybody and everybody at any point of time, is because everybody knows what it is to be able to fight at those heights, how it is to be able to fight the weather and also be able to take care of themselves and also be able to take care of the enemy. So this kind of a training that has come to all our boys by their staying on Siachen is commendable, and that has stood to us. Well, we never expected what the Chinese would do. I never expected what China would do. They were so good to us till April 2020. I have interacted with them for many years.
Oh, of
and
course.
I found them
You've done that. You've done that in Tawang, in Bumla. You've done it in Ladakh.
So
You've done it
you
everywhere.
can't trust. Absolutely. The capacity building, capability building takes time. Intentions can change overnight. And the Chinese have proved that the intentions can change overnight. If that be so, and the collusivity with Pakistan and China in POK, the kind of interest that they had, the CPEC project that they're undertaking, the kind of minerals that they would be mining in that area, it would be free for all between China and Pakistan in that entire area should we vacate Saltoro. Saltoro must not be vacated, definitely not as of now, because you cannot trust China, you cannot trust Pakistan, you cannot trust anybody there other than our own boys who will be occupying it. And should anything be happening, nothing better. You could have any amount of technology be able to tell you and be able to see what's going on there. Nothing better than a human being telling you what it is. Yes, hardships are there, but then we have we have equipped ourselves so well over the years. It may cost 5 crores a day. It doesn't matter. It's peanuts if you ask me. But the fact that you are there, the fact that every man in the Indian Army today feels happy and proud that he has served on Siachen and he reads your book to know what's happened earlier and what's going to happen, I think it's a great thing. And the chief's intentions may be excellent. I do not doubt his intentions. He's a good man who spoke his heart out. But today, I do not agree that it should be demilitarized. It is up to us what we want to do with it. It is our area, and definitely not under the present circumstances because of the collusion between Pakistan and China.
Yeah. Absolutely well put, General Kulkarni. There couldn't have been a better, more emphatic kind of assertion that you have made about why Siachen matters to India. I think it has been known to many of us who have studied the area, many of you who have served there, actually, given your best years of your life to the mountains like the Siachen or in Arunachal Pradesh and other places. I think this is very clear that there is no way India can vacate Saltoro Ridge or its occupation or its vigil on the Siachen Glacier. The Pakistanis can continue to dream about it or want that vacation or that mutual withdrawal from those heights. There is no mutual withdrawal finally because we are on the Saltoro Ridge, they are not. So there is no mutual withdrawal. And like you said, you cannot trust the Pakistanis, neither can you trust the Chinese because what they have done. So I think it's very clear that there is no way that India can actually vacate Siachen in any circumstances, leave alone in the current circumstances. Thank you very much for your insights once again, and always a pleasure to listen to you and get the real-time updates about what Siachen is all about and what mountains can do and how mountains can deter the two adversaries from doing some kind of a collusion on top of our heads in the northern sector. Thank you very much for your time, General Kulkarni. We'll come back to you
Nitin.
once again when required.
Always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. So, viewers, you would have noticed that there's no better expert with a practical experience of Siachen than Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, who, as a young captain, as I said, was the first one to go and lead a platoon of Indian Army to occupy Bilafondla and prevent the Pakistanis from coming onto the Siachen Glacier. I'm again reiterating that the Pakistanis are nowhere near the Siachen Glacier. So there is no question of any mutual withdrawal. If at all, the Pakistanis have to agree and give it in writing that they are not on the Siachen Glacier and maybe next steps would be taken. But like General Kulkarni said, it cannot happen given the current geopolitical and geostrategic realities. For the time being, that's all we have. But do keep watching StratNews Global. You know our YouTube channel. Tell your friends, tell your family to watch and subscribe and share the programs that we do. We will keep bringing you updates and, of course, information which normally doesn't get covered by other mediums and other channels and other newspapers. But we are here to try and give you as much detailed perspective as possible. For the time being, it's goodbye.